Hello again, it's me, and we're ready to start our second session. And we're going to cover a couple different things in this. So you can again open up the MPD 101 slides, and we're in the section that says Getting Organized. So under the next slide, slide 10, I believe, is basically now what we mean by the other two legs of this stool is that the other two legs was actually the biblical foundation of our understanding and calling of what it means to enter into ministry, especially in MPD. And so the other two sides of it is prayer. And what we mean by that is the importance of having people a part of our team that are praying for the work that we are doing, both in the MPD process as well as campus. So, thinking of as we're entering into this, who is it that can be walking alongside and praying with us? The other aspect is also us to begin to pray, for you to begin to pray for God to provide for you as you are beginning this process. So, what I want you to do is to get at least 5 people praying for you as you begin the MPD process, and to begin to make this list of prayer team and invite them to be praying for you as you are doing this. So these can be family members, these can be friends, these are people that you trust and can share both the good and the bad of how it's all going so far. On the next page, we already went through your priority prospect list and talked through that. And so by now you should have filled in all of the points as to what level they're at for their interest, their relationship with you, their capacity. But I want to touch on that one more moment, and you can look at the highlighted things on here. So prospects, this is our beginning point. It is our big list. Basically everyone we know. It is built on all the segments or relational circles or networks in our lives. So we're thinking broadly here. Who are all the people that you know that you can add to this list? We're not so much worrying about if they can give, right? But who is it that you know? And then the next one is that sometimes these segments are geographic, center around activities or relationships. So you can think of, okay, who do I know in St. Louis? Who do I know in Columbia? Who do I know from my classes? Who do I know from church choir? Who do I know from ICF, from ACF? These different networks and the relationships that you have. In addition to folks we will tell our story to, this prospect list will include some people who we decide not to ask, as well as some we don't know well enough yet to ask. This list should include anyone in your email, even, thinking very broadly about who you can invite. And then the next one is to identify the people you should answer this question. Who would have any interest in me, InterVarsity, or students, or building the kingdom? So begin to ask those questions, and you may be able to think of a few more people that you can ask. The next page is the MPD pipeline. So this is basically the process through which people go through as they are, as you are talking with them and inviting them to partner with you. So they'll begin out as a prospect. This is someone that you haven't asked yet, they're just potential. And then once you contact them, they become a contact. And once you follow up with them, they're in the follow-up category. And once you ask them, then they're in that category. Once they decide they're in that category, and then they become a donor after that. Or maybe they don't. So this is the pipeline that they go through. And if you open up the FD tool that I sent you, there's different pages that are in that. And so one of those, which is the next page, is the address and contact. So these are basically all the different people that are in your contacts and their email address and their address. So at this point, you can be thinking of their email address because that's how you're going to be contacting them. The next one is the prospect list. So I've already had you been working on this, so you can transfer that from the Google Doc onto your FD tool. If I didn't do that, I think I may have done that when I sent it to you. And then the next one is the donor stages, which we talked through. And on there is where you'll be keeping track of where they're at in this process. And this is something that I'll have you send in to us so that we can be keeping track of where you're at. The next page is the budget page, and I filled that in for you. So this is basically, it has the breakdown of your budget. This is how you're going to be, what the money that you raise is going to go towards. And we'll talk later as to how to communicate that to supporters. And the next one has, it says budget page, but really what this is this is where you're putting in who's giving and at what, and it's keeping track of what percentage you're at. Okay, so if you have questions more about that, you can go ahead and ask me, but your FD tool is going to be super helpful for you to keep constant track of what's happening, and as well as for you to communicate what is happening with your fundraising. So it's going to be important to keep up with that as you go for organization. All right, so that's session 2, and next time we're going to talk about how to send out a letter to communicate with people what you're doing. All right.